Okay, there we go. For the chemistry add-on, which is unique to Minecraft, which is what we're going through today, if you go to View Library, so if we just back out, we go Play, View Library, there is a chemistry tutorial world. Just like there was a coding tutorial world, there's a chemistry one as well. And it's freely, easily available. You just click Create World and it downloads the template from online and opens it up for you. So you could have your students run through this world if you wanted to, or you could even just run through it yourself to get a handle on the chemistry stuff. You don't need to do this to get used to the chemistry world, but it can be a good self-paced activity if you have kids who are happy to do things at their own. There is a little bit of reading through our non-player characters that we talked about the other week, and the non-player characters are numbered and they set the students off on quests. So I'm in creative mode, so I can kind of cheat and just grab the blocks I need, but for the students in this world, they would be in survival mode but without bad guys, so they don't have access to all of the blocks. So there's some boxes here with pickaxes and axes for them to go out and collect what they need to do the lessons. Now, some of the lessons are out here, and most of the lessons are in the science lab or chemistry lab in this big school-like building over here. So it's not really, I mean, you can see the names of the NPCs, but apart from that, it's not really clear where each number is. So the kids might just have to do a little bit of looking to find the NPCs. I'm not going to run through all of the activities, but what I will do is show you the 4 new things that are new, like specific to the chemistry add-on. So the first one we're going to look at is called the element constructor. So it lets your character make chemical elements. So I just need to find, I forgot what it looks for, not that one. This one here. So it's the one with the microscope on the side. If you're in creative mode, you can just grab it from the menu by starting to type in element, and you can see it there. And it's just like a crafting table, except it's a special chemistry crafting table. So if you right click on the element constructor, what it lets you do is it lets you create any of the chemical elements from the periodic table. So if you're looking at the periodic table already, the kids could have that in front of them to help them create the elements that they're looking for. And if you're not really up to doing periodic table yet, the kids can just muck around. And basically when you hit on a winning combination, hang on, let's see if I can get helium. You will have an element appear in the bottom right here. If you don't have a winning combination, if it's not quite right, there will just be a question mark and you won't be able to create anything. So if we go back to helium, which is 2 protons, 2 electrons and 2 neutrons. So usually the numbers are, for the smaller elements, usually the numbers are all the same. And I left click on the helium. I've created a block of helium that I'm holding in my hand. So at the moment, it doesn't really do much as is. But later on, what we can do with this block is use it as an ingredient in doing some chemical reactions. So the element blocks are a bit useless. I mean, they look decorative. You could actually get the kids to make their own periodic table, you know, in the world if you wanted to. But what they're intended for, I guess, is to use them in chemical reactions. So we can also make, you got hydrogen, so on and so forth. And I think it's really good for the students who sort of around year 7, 8, or even sort of year 6, where they're starting to learn about elements, but they haven't really clicked that proton number of protons is key and linked to what the element is. And you'll see the number of protons or the atomic numbers up there in the top left of the element, and they can see that you've got that visual representation of the atom as you're creating the element as well. And you can see the electron shells filling out. So if you're in high school doing electron shells, you can see them fill up 2, then 8, then another 8. So they're filling up as they would in real life as well. So this is a really good interactive way for kids to mess around and have a play with elements. Really good for lower high school chemistry. So if you are in creative mode though, like I said, you don't even need to use that station. I should just be able to type in the name of the element and grab the block if you are in creative mode there as well. So this is more, this station is more if you're in survival or adventure mode, where the students can't just grab things out of the menu, so they actually have to go and create it. So that's the first special thing. So that's the element constructor. The second special thing that we've got is the compound creator. So combining our elements together to make some compounds. Now I just have to go and find in my science lab, find one of those stations. Material, that's what I was just in. Lab table, no. That's no. Now I can't find it. I'll just grab my inventory. So compound. It kind of looks like a sink. Signs with some labels would be helpful here. So compound creator, compounds come in about year 8-ish, year 7-8 chemistry, but you may have talked about it before. Kids usually know water. So you can look at, I'll grab some oxygen and we can make some water, H2O. More hydrogen. And while I'm here, so in our compound creator, it looks like a beaker. If I throw in one compound, oh, this is going to be a problem. All of my hydrogen, oh, that was nitrogen. Oh, this is tricky with the numbers in the way. So you can see I've just thrown in all of them. Nothing's coming up here. It means I don't have a good combination of elements here, 64 hydrogens and 64 oxygens. So the number that you're putting in really matters for compounds. It needs to be in the right ratio, otherwise the compound won't form. So just trying to remember the button for me to, there we go. So if I left click on the oxygen, it's picking up all 64 of the oxygens, which I don't want, I just want one. And if you right click it, you end up getting half of the block. And so I'm just going to continue to right click until I get down to 1. So if I put in 1 oxygen and, oh, that's nitrogen. Sorry, just separating the hydrogens down. This is only really a problem in creative mode, having too many things. And put in 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. You can see I have something I can create now, which is H2O, or otherwise known as water. So if I click on the left-hand side here, I'll get a beaker full of water. Another example is, get the nitrogen down, nitrogen, and I want 3 hydrogens, NH3 is ammonia. If you aren't a chemist and you don't really know any compounds or anything like that, online, and I'll post up a link after this video is finished, there's actually a PDF that you can print out of a Minecraft chemistry lab journal that Microsoft have made, which has a list of all the possible compounds that you can make in Minecraft, so you don't have to remember them all. You can even give that list to the kids so they don't have to remember them all, but perhaps if they're a bit older and you want to challenge them, maybe don't give them the list. So yeah, you can't make every possible compound in the world, but you can make quite a lot of different things in our compound creator. So we're combining the elements together in certain ratios to get what we need. Now, if, like I said, if you have the wrong ratio, nothing will come up on the left here, and so you won't be able to create anything. You'll notice that all of the elements I have here at the moment are green, but helium is pink. So I think it's based on where they are on the periodic table as to their color. So if I choose something a bit heavier, like magnesium, yeah, you'll see, oh, that's a different color again. So if you're in high school and you're looking at groups and the properties of elements on the periodic table and the way the periodic table is arranged, those colors can come in handy as well, but that's sort of more an advanced thing. So that was the second one. So we had element constructor, compound creator. The next one is the lab table, which allows you to do, oh, there it is, little science experiments. So what you want to do is throw some things up here into this little bar. So for example, if I put first, I go to the lab table and I put up some phosphorus and some, where did I put the ammonia? Ammonia. Oh, maybe I only need one phosphorus. And you can see I've got some movement here, which means that I am probably going to get a result. And I click combine. And you can see my lab table spat out let's have a look, a bag of super fertilizer. So again, there are preset combinations that work. The PDF of the lab manual has all the preset combinations in it if you want to have a look. These are items that you can only get through the lab table. So the super fertilizer, what it does is it lets you, if you're growing crops in dirt, like wheat, if you apply the super fertilizer, the wheat instantly becomes fully grown. Whereas in regular Minecraft, there's regular fertilizer, which you can add to your crops and they grow a bit quicker, but not instantly. So there's some really cool things you can make with the lab table that aren't usually available. But again, it's good to have a look at the list of things that are possible. Another thing you can, the fourth thing, so the first one was element constructor, compound creator, and our lab table. So again, we're kind of going up in terms of combining different things together. The fourth one is actually a material reducer. So I was saying if you're in survival mode, you can't access all these elements by going to the inventory like I was. So I'm kind of cheating in that respect. So if you're in survival mode, well, how do you get all those elements that you want? Well, you need to go to, oops, don't throw away my super fertilizer. What you need to do is go to, I'm just going to grab some dirt and I'll show you what I'm about to do. So the fourth one is the material reducer. So, oops, oh, actually, let's go for an ore. There we go. Our material reducer lets you put in a regular Minecraft block, so you can pick any item that you can find in Minecraft, like our dirt. Oh, no, it doesn't. Don't tell me it just needs one dirt. No, it doesn't even want to do that. No, it doesn't want to do dirt. Let's see if it'll do iron ore. There we go. Okay, so clearly not any block will work, but I put in iron ore and you can see it's reduced that one block of iron ore down into 64, which is like the maximum stack here of the element iron. We've also got silicon and oxygen. So I can then put those, consume the iron ore block to create those elements to put in my inventory. So if you're in survival mode, that's how you create the elements from the periodic table, by going out and collecting items from around the world and bringing them to the material reducer. But if you're in creative mode, you don't need to do that. You can just go straight from the menu, Google whatever element it is that you're after, search for whatever element it is that you're after, and then drag them down into your inventory bar. So it's kind of challenging players or students to think about, well, if I want iron, the element of iron, what objects am I going to find that in? So for a primary school level chemistry, it's good because students can experiment with putting any block they find sort of in there and getting them to think a little bit more deeply about what everyday objects are made of. So I knew that by picking iron ore, it's in the name, iron ore, so it's going to have some iron in there. But other objects such as, I think I'm trying to find one of the more naturally occurring ones, perhaps sugar is a good one. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of a few things. So if I put the sugar, which is something most kids will have seen before, heard of before. I'm just going to show you this tip. I picked up the 64 block of sugar, and it just left or right clicking on there, it just puts one of the blocks in, one of the sugar blocks. You can see sugar's been broken down into 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens, which is actually the molecule that makes up sugar. So it might surprise some students, I guess, to see that common object broken down into those elements, because they may not have considered what elements things were made of before. So that's what why I like the material reducer. It's a bit redundant if you're in creative mode, but in survival it's really good for helping kids think about what things are made of, because then they really have to problem solve and perhaps share what they've found with each other to find, if they're looking for a specific element, to go and find that in the world, because it's not going to tell, Minecraft isn't going to tell them where to go to find those specific elements. You can make some, with the chemistry add-on, you can make some really cool items on your crafting table. So on a regular crafting table, which I saw back here somewhere, there it is, here. So remember I said, like I said, in survival mode, actually I might turn it on that in a second, you can see everything you can make with your current list of equipment, and anything you can't, you're close to being able to make but you don't quite have enough, it'll show up with a red background. So some of the cool things that I found that I quite liked was coloured torches. So you can get a green, oh, it's not here, I'll have to make it, I think. So if I grab a few torches, and I need some, what did I look up? Need some potassium chloride. So I'm just going to grab some potassium, some chloride, and get rid of all these. And I need to go to the, oh yes, the lab table to combine my potassium and, oh no, or is it the compound creator? Oh, that still worked, I think. Oh no, what did I get? Garbage. So I made a bad combination and I got garbage. Well, I don't want that. It looks like I will need to use the compound creator to make my potassium and chloride. There we go. So potassium chloride, if I take that back to the crafting table, and I'm going to combine my potassium chloride with a torch to get a purple torch. So I know in chemistry one of my favourite practicals to do is the coloured, or the flame test, where you spray different or put different chemicals into the Bunsen burner flame, and oh, I'm not allowed to place in here. I might have to turn on. Hopefully, there we go. So you can see normally the torches are orange. Oh, where's my inventory? But we have a pink one. Yeah, so flame test, what you do is you get a bunch of different chemicals, you spray it into the flame of the Bunsen burner and have a look at what colour the flame turns. Different chemicals, because of their arrangement of electrons, will give different colors when they're burnt. So this is sort of, I guess, the Minecraft version of that practical. So it could be good to do both, perhaps one lesson after the other. So yeah, that is one colored thing. So that could be good for your Christmas decorations, to have some colored lights. There's about 5 different colors you can get. The other one was you could get coloured sparklers, but the torches will last forever, but I think the sparklers do end up burning out. So the sparklers needed magnesium, let's do potassium chloride, and again, and our magnesium, and they needed a stick. I'm getting all this from that lab journal. I don't have all this memorised down pat. Type sparkler, no, doesn't want to come up. Oh, that's right. So if I go back to the crafting table over here, I make a pink sparkler. So again, these things weren't available before or in regular Minecraft, just for the special chemistry things. So it was one thing of magnesium. I had to put the, oh, I'm out of potassium chloride. I have to get some more. So I can get... Yeah, sorry, bear with me. See if I can get it from directly from my inventory. Okay, so it looks like you can't get compounds from the creative inventory, which is interesting. Get a compound creator. That's kind of annoying, actually. And get my potassium chloride again. And now, if we put our potassium chloride up the top, magnesium in the middle, and a stick at the bottom, we can get a purple sparkler. Oh, so I lit it by holding down right click, and then as I walk around, you can see it's burning in the sky, just like in real life. But I can't place it on the floor, so I think it's going to be one of those things when it burns out, that's it. Whereas the torch just stays there. So that could be a fun one if you want your students to make a video of something they're doing in Minecraft, or a screenshot for their with the camera, or for the portfolio. The sparklers could be cool for that, especially if you turn the world to night time. The other cool thing that I wanted to make that I know Stephen's a fan of is a helium balloon, which you can attach to all sorts of things. So for the helium balloon, and this will be the last one that I make, you need latex, which is a compound which you can't get from the menu, as I found out. So the latex compound was carbon and hydrogen. So I'll just make sure I have some carbon and I know I have some hydrogen, and I'll go back and combine them. So it was 5 carbons. So I'm just right clicking on top of it to add 5 carbons, and I need 5, 6, 7, 8 hydrogens to get latex, and I actually need 6 latexes to, so is it going to let me take 6? Yes. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I need a color dye. I've got the helium and a string. So from here, I know I can get string. And we have, let's go with red balloon, get rid of our garbage. So at the crafting table, I looked up the recipe beforehand. So we put one piece of colored dye up there for what color we want the balloon to be. We put the string down the bottom, we put the helium in the middle, and we put the latex around like so. And well, that, or maybe it's just 4 latexes. Well, I thought that was the recipe, but no, it's not working. I'll just quickly check. It was that. Color dye helium plus balloon latex times 6 color dye. Oh, I need a lead. Okay, not a string, a lead. So instead of string, I need a lead. So you can also use the lead with horses, I believe, to tame a horse. So a lead, and we'll put our latex around the outside, and our dye. There we go, get a balloon, but only one. I think you can attach a balloon to different things. Let's see. There we go. your Minecraft world with some helium balloons. I believe you can also attach them to, if you attach them to something like an animal. Let's try that. I think you can lift it up in the sky. Well, that's what I read anyway. Oh. Sheep in this world, actually. But anyway, that's something for you to experiment with. But if you get enough balloons, helium balloons on the one object, it should be able to lift it into the sky. So that also, the same as real life, really, like you need a lot of lift to lift heavy things. So you need a lot of balloons. You could do some calculations around that if you wanted to, or look at things like there's the movies or hot air balloons or all sorts of different things. I'll just check the chat and see if there's any questions. Cool. Any questions about chemistry? Yeah, so I guess one thing to keep in mind, it looks like you can't get compounds from, I'll just quickly show you the lab journal on my screen. So I'll just stop sharing for 2 secs and bring up my screen. So this is what the PDF, put it down. This is what the PDF looks like, or the front cover when you find it. I'll put the link in the Teams. So you can see the 4 new chemistry things: the element constructor, compound creator, lab table, and material reducer. It tells you a little bit about each of those things, which is what we talked about today. And this is probably the most useful bit to print out or have in front of you when you're doing the chemistry things, is all the craftable compounds, which it looks like you can't search and grab and put in your inventory regardless of if you're in creative or not. So you would have to go to the compound creator to create these, and it's got the elements and what ratios you need those elements in, which is the same as, these are all real life things. So there's quite a lot there you can mess around with. The lab table does combining things, and if you don't combine things properly, you get garbage. So you can make bleach, a heat block, an ice bomb, and super fertilizer. And now these are some of the cool things that you can make with the crafting table using your chemistry products: coloured torches, glow sticks, coloured glass, balloons, sparklers, underwater TNT, and underwater torches, because the regular torches actually don't work. And that's actually what they use in real life. You can't have fire underwater, so they use burning magnesium. And then the brewing stand is used to make potions. That is in regular Minecraft, but so usually in regular Minecraft you'd use potions for things like giving you buffs, like good things like making you invisible or giving you health or things like that. Or you can throw potions at bad guys, so those potions would have negative effects on you. So that's what they've got here, some things that you can make with potions, but using some elements in the potion process, whereas previously you'd just use other things you could find in Minecraft in the process. So yeah, and then you've got your material reducer there. I don't know why the dirt block didn't work for me. Yeah, and that is, again, that is accurate. The material reducer is accurate. It is real life, and so it's a good thing for the kids to play with. So yeah, and there's a bunch of lesson plans here in the PDF or on the Minecraft Education Edition website. There's a few lesson plans on there as well. The tutorial world is okay, but you might even like to, because the kids don't have build permissions, you might like to let them go free with in creative mode on a flat world or just a regular world as well with the chemistry add-on after they've got a feel for it too. So yeah, hopefully that's enough to get you started with chemistry, or at least get you building some cool things that you can't get in regular Minecraft. I think the coloured lights were my favourite, and the balloons were Stephen Payne's favourite. Yeah, so it's good, especially good for year sort of 7, 8, 9, because that is all the stuff that we would cover in chemistry: elements, compounds, the electron configurations, all of that stuff is in there. But it's good because they can just play. They don't have to, you know, answer this question, do this, do that. They could just play and get a feel for the topic without having to run through boring worksheets. But yeah, still having an end goal, like decorate a Christmas tree with all of the different 5 different colors that are available and things like that. So yeah, the chemistry add-on wasn't around when I was using Minecraft in my classroom, and I really wish it was, because it just makes making the game relevant to what you're doing in the classroom so much easier, to have it all there laid out for you. Same with the coding add-on. It's just, yeah, the add-ons are all about making the existing game align a bit better with what we're doing in schools. So yeah, that's what all this is about. But yeah, even if you're in primary school, could be good for them just to get a feel for that understanding of everything is made of those basic building blocks, those funny letters with the colours. So yeah, that's all I had on chemistry. Unless you had any questions about this or anything else, I think we can stop the recording here, and yeah. Oh, yeah, Stephen's put up a link to the lab journal.